One of the best moments of my life was the day my dad and I first watched Back to the Future. I had just turned 12. Little did I know I was about to watch a classic. Marty McFly and Doc, and let's not forget Einstein the dog, transcend the limits of time thanks to the DeLorean, a cool time machine if there ever was one. But as Doc and Marty learn the hard way, time travel is littered with danger, so much so that Doc wishes he had never even invented the flux capacitor in the first place. Well, we can't go back in time to, say, change our evangelical future. As much as I jump at the chance, the opportunity even, to glide through history in the DeLorean, but we can look back in time and see where the future might go if things don't change in the present. If Doc's DeLorean took us back to the turn of the century, to, say, any evangelical college campus, what would you see? Well, you might see me, the much younger me, that is, sitting in the cafeteria, highlighting the white pages of thick textbooks called systematic theologies. These were some of my first introductions to the doctrine of the Trinity. But I noticed something peculiar, even a bit unsettling. Each textbook made a point to reject an old Christian belief called the eternal generation of the Son from the Father. If you don't know what eternal generation is, don't worry. It sounds more complicated than it really is. In fact, it's something almost too simple to say. Ask yourself this question: why does the Bible use the names Father, Son, and Spirit to describe the Trinity? Answer: in the Bible, especially in a book like the Gospel of John, for example, the Father is called Father because he is, well, the Father of his Son. As fathers do, he begets his Son. That is, after all, what it means to be a father. But since this is God we're talking about, not a mere mortal, he does so from all eternity. He eternally begets his Son, though he himself is begotten by no one. He is unbegotten. That's because he is the source, the origin. This is called paternity. The Son is called Son in Scripture because he has a father. Think of it this way: he is from his Father, begotten by his Father, and from all eternity. Or we might say the Son is generated. The words begotten and generated, those are synonyms. He is generated from the Father's divine nature from all eternity. That is, after all, what it means to be a son. This is called filiation. What about the Spirit? The Spirit is called Spirit in Scripture because he proceeds from the Father and the Son from eternity. He is not, say, another son, like a brother. He's not a grandson, so we shouldn't say he is eternally begotten or generated. Rather, he is spirated from the Father and the Son. This is called spiration, a label that captures the biblical meaning of that word Spirit. Now, since we're talking about key words, I should also mention that there is a phrase that sums up all of these biblical names. Here it is: eternal relations of origin. Eternal relations of origin. That is a phrase to remember. Highlight it, underline it, circle it. It sounds sophisticated, but its meaning is quite simple, really. The word origin is fitting because we are describing where these three persons come from. For example, the Son is from the Father. That word eternal is also appropriate since this is God we have in view. And that word relation, well, that's another way of referring to the persons of the Trinity, specifically what is so unique about each of them. The Father is unbegotten, the Son is begotten, and the Spirit is spirated. Now, back to the DeLorean. As I did some digging of my own, I discovered that this ancient way of describing the Trinity was the norm. For 2,000 years, the church's best Bible interpreters believed that this was the biblical way to distinguish the Son, to define the Trinity. This made my jaw drop. The textbooks that were introducing me to the Trinity acted as if their modern approach was, well, normal, standard even, approach that happily showed eternal generation the door. Those around me assumed the same as well. But it wasn't normal. It wasn't standard, not even close. It's only been in the last century, in our generation, that the Trinity has been reformulated in radical ways. But my deep digging uncovered more. Not only had Christianity's best Bible interpreters confessed this doctrine, eternal generation, ever since the church's conception, but they believed such a doctrine actually safeguarded the deity of Christ from the most dangerous of heresies. Now, to be clear, we are talking about a belief so essential to the Trinity, distinguishing the Son as Son from the Father as Father, that when the deity of Christ was questioned in the 4th century, the church fathers gathered together at a council called Nicaea in 325, perhaps the most famous council in all of Christian history. And they wrote a creed to affirm eternal generation as really the condition of true orthodoxy. If the Son, they said, if the Son is not begotten from the Father's divine essence from all eternity, then the Son is not equal to the Father in deity. The doctrine not only distinguished the person of the Son from the person of the Father, but ensured that the two were co-eternal and co-equal in divinity, power, will, glory, and authority. You see, to affirm eternal generation was equivalent to confessing oneself to be a Christian, and a Bible-believing Christian at that. To deny eternal generation was to align yourself with heresy. Again, my jaw hit the floor. How could such a Trinitarian basic be cut out of evangelical textbooks, erased from whiteboards of the classroom? And then it occurred to me, we have, and we still are, experiencing Trinity drift. But wait, things get worse. I am a Los Angeles native by birth. Each summer, our family tends to head for the beach. One summer, I was laying on the beach when I decided to get up and go explore a hole-in-the-wall bookstore. And to my great surprise, it was filled with books on the Trinity. There on the wall before me was a story, each shelf of books telling me what the past generation had done with the Trinity. And so I opened one book after another book, and you know what I discovered? The Trinity has become a wax nose, used to justify countless agendas: socialism, religious pluralism, environmentalism, egalitarianism, complementarianism, homosexuality, and so much more. By redefining the Trinity as a society analogous to a human society, we have used the Trinity to meet every social agenda under the sun. The Trinity has become our social program. And then it hit me again. Not only are we experiencing a Trinity drift, but our redefinition of the Trinity has given us a license to manipulate the Trinity. Did you know that Los Angeles is quite the paradox? When you sit in traffic, say on the 5 freeway, when you take a seat in Dodger Stadium, when you ride on the Matterhorn at Disneyland, you don't see all the smog that you are inhaling. But if you first go and visit the Golden Gate Bridge, way up in San Francisco, towards the top of California, and then drive all the way down to SoCal, a different picture emerges. When you come out of the mountains and see the city of angels for the first time, you might just gasp at all the smog you now see. It's possible for everyone in society to just go about their busy lives and never question all the air that they just can't see. That is, until they are given a new perspective. Vantage point can make all the difference in the world. So too with the Trinity. We assume the Trinity we breathe in and out is the biblical one, even the Trinity of our fathers. But it's not. The Trinitarian air we inhale and exhale has been blown into our evangelical hemisphere by the winds of modern theology. And these smoggy winds, well, they are as far away from the Bible and Christian orthodoxy as can be, which means not only do we need a new vantage point to see all the Trinitarian smog we've been breathing, but we need new air. And that air can only be provided by the old winds of biblical orthodoxy, Nicene orthodoxy to be exact. It is time that the real Trinity stands up. It's time that the church come face to face with the very God who is simply Trinity, unadulterated, uncorrupted, and yes, unmanipulated.